Alright, back with another video in the Excel eSports course. We're in the maps chapter on the last video, which will be about arrows, or their equivalents. More to come, so subscribe if you're interested. So in the last few videos, we've been talking about maps and distances, i.e. you're given a start cell, an end cell, and you need to find the distance between them. The other type of maps that come up are arrows, and this is kind of the opposite to what we did before. So we're given a start cell, and then we are given a direction and a distance, and we need to find the end cell. We may be given multiple directions and distances, but we should be able to figure out where we get to by following those. Now this sheet will be available for download in the description, so you can play along if you like. We use the same maps that we have in the last video, just for familiarity. So the questions are basically, given a start cell and an arrow, where do you move to? And normally you will be given an arrow, but you might be given an equivalent. So you might be given north, south, east, west, and their diagonal equivalents. You might be given UDLR, which stands for up, down, left, right, or something like that. But the key to unlocking these type of questions, again, lies in kind of row and column calculations. And the method generally goes like this. Gather all of the possible arrows, and then how many rows and columns each one would move you, and then plus those rows and columns to the rows and columns of your start cell, and you'll find an end cell. So let's do that. Normally the easiest way to gather all the arrows is to say unique of all of your kind of arrow cells. So if I just take unique of that, I'll get a load of stuff. I can copy that as values. Let's just remove this stuff. So now we've gathered the arrows. Let's create a table of the row and column that will move. So an up arrow would go -1 row, across would be nothing, down would be +1 row, because we're going from example row 6 to row 7. Anything else with an up element will be -1, and these other diagonals with a down element will be +1. So that's how we get those. For the column movements, directly up and down has no column movements. Anything that goes right will increase the column, so let's just add that to anything with a right component. Then anything else with a left component will be -1. So if we take this arrow for example, we move down left, so the row will increase by 1, but the column will decrease by 1 because we're going this way in Excel and down. Now I would highly recommend you save something like this permanently in your lambda collection or named range. So if I just import my lambdas here, I'll show you what mine looks like. I can just say equals arrows, and what I will get is I will get those arrows instantly. If I put a 1 in between, I will get the row movements, column movements, and then equivalent naming, so north, south, east, west, up, down, left, right, and this is kind of a different convention that you don't need to worry about for now. So now that we've created this table, let's start looking at how to do the questions. So the first question is, what cell do you go to if you move from here? So let's get our row and column of the original cell. So row of indirect of this, and this will be familiar if you've watched the other map videos. Column of indirect of this, and then let's drag that down so we've got it for everything. Now let's get our arrow, row and column movements. So let's say arrow row, arrow column, and we can say XLOOKUP our arrow in our newly made arrows table here, and we're going to pull both the row and column differences there. So from this, we can now calculate our new row and column. So we can say new row, new column, and it's simply just going to be what we had before plus our new movements. So that's our new positions. So then the final thing to say is new address, and we can use the address formula for that. Address of this row, this column, and let's give us a relative reference, and that's a 4 on the end. So P16 is our new kind of place. So let's copy those in to our answer column, and there we go, they're all correct. So now that you have the basic mechanics down, you should be able to do something like a start cell and multiple arrows. You would just need to kind of do a data table and spill a row for each arrow that you move and keep going to the new address each time. You can then answer questions such as, what do you collect on your route? You just use the indirect formula as was covered in other videos. Now the next complication that might come up is that you move multiple places at a time, so you move many steps at a time. So now that we have these workings down, I'm just going to pull them here for a second. Let's copy those here so that we're now pulling from this cell. Our arrows are still going to be correct, but we have a multiple now. So we want to times the arrow movements by our multiple here. So there we go. That's as simple as that. We're now moving multiple steps at a time. So this should be our answers now. Okay, so far so good. Now I'm going to make it a little more complicated and say that we need to stay within the bounds of this map. And I've purposely set some of the questions to be near the edge. So if I look at this first one, for example, D21, we're going to move 4 steps down left, so D21. Here we go, so down left, there's 1 step, there's 2 steps, and we're now at the boundary of the map. So we can no longer move left because we'd go out of our map, but we can continue to move with the down component of that diagonal. And that is one type of behavior you'll see when you hit a wall. You might also just stop. That's a bit harder, so we'll cover that next. You may even bounce, and that's going to be beyond the scope of this video, but that is something we've seen before. So let's carry forward our workings from before and just see what happens here. So we can see the first two actually give us errors because we fully go off the edge of where Excel exists to the left. We don't know about these ones, however. They could actually go this way or this way, and we'll still spill an address, but it might not be within our map. So we need to write down the bounds of our map. So let's say minimum row, maximum row, minimum column, maximum column. So to find these, we basically just need to look at our map. We can see the smallest row on our map is 2 and the largest is 27. So 2 and 27. For column, I can quite easily see it's 2, but it's not obvious what this one is. So I'm just going to highlight all of these to count how many there are. I can see there's 67 items. So we're going from row 2 to column 2, sorry, to column 68. So 2 to 68. And if I ever wanted to check that, I could just say address, let's say 268. That takes us to BP2, and I can see that's at the edge here, so 68 is the right number. So how do we fix this? What we want to do is bound our row to always be within these numbers, and bound our column to always be within these numbers. So let's move those across, and this, and let's put a bounded row and bounded column. So one way we could bound the row here is to say that the row we end up needs to be the maximum of 2 or our row. So if we're ever below 2, it would push us up to 2, and then the minimum of that and our max row. Now I find that quite confusing because you're doing the min of the max row and the max of the min row, but let's write it out and then show you in a way that's a little bit easier. So it would be the minimum of the max row and that, and then the maximum of the minimum row and that. And we'd do that again for our column. So 25 is within our bounds, so it stays there. If I pulled that here and I moved these down to the columns instead, you'll see that our 0 moves up to 2. So our new address, if we run it off of these cells, is actually correct now at B25. So let's just do a visual check. We started in D21. We would go 1, 2, 3, 4. We end in B25. Now let's talk about a slightly more intuitive way to do this. And this is in one of the very first videos. You can actually use the median formula to say equals median of the row and these two things. And that is going to bound it nice and easy. So if I now drag that across and do the median of that and these, then you'll see we get 2 as well. And what median does, it just lines the numbers up in order and picks the middle one. So of course, if we're out of the bounds of our map, the middle number will become the minimum or maximum row. So let's just lock those cells there, and let's lock them in this column one. And that should be all of our answers. We then just need to run our address off of those cells, and there we go, we get our answers. Now the final behavior we're going to talk about in this video is what happens when we stop. So this is actually slightly harder because we still need to kind of do this bounds thing, but we need to know how many steps we could take before we stopped. So let's just add this down here. So you could try and do something like compare the original row and column with where we moved in the end. So this is how much we actually moved, 4 rows, 2 columns. But we know we wanted to move 4 of each, so kind of take the minimum of this. We only actually moved 2 and change this arrow movement to 2. But it gets a little messy, and it also is kind of hard on this one. So you can't just take the minimum of these numbers, because on things like this, the minimum would be 0 because we don't actually have a row component. And I'm probably not making much sense at the minute, and that's fine because I don't think this is actually a good way to do it. So what I would do in this situation is try and spill out these 4 steps one by one and check at what point we go out of bounds. So let's just actually show you that, I guess. So let's label these 1 to 5, and let's say 1, xlookup 1 in here, give us our question details. So let's do start, let's grab our bounds from up here, and our start's going to be this, and then I can say where do we move, it's going to be here, but we want to spill that 4 times, so let's do it with, and I'm just doing this on the fly now, expand that how many times, this many times, and pad with that. So expand just kind of pushes something out into an array, and you can pad it with whatever you want. So I mean, if I was to pad with an X there, for example, it would look like that, but we'll pad with our original arrow. Now I'm just going to line our data table up with the table above so that I can copy these formulas. So let's copy that to here, and now we have the start cell, column, arrow moves. Our movement's actually going to be 1 each time, so just list a load of 1s there. And then rather than pushing this into the bounds, I'll just say, does this equal the new row and column? If it's true, it means we stayed in bounds. So that's linked to the rows. Let's now do the same for the columns. So does that equal where we ended up in the new column? And now the new address, I'm going to say if and those things, i.e. those two are true, then give me address of this row, this column, relative. And if that's not true, just give me the start address. So there we go, we move from D21 to C22. Let's drag that down a bunch of times and make our new start cell this. We can then do that. Let's just put an if error on this to say if error that thing, give me what we had above. Let's drag that down, and there we go. We have 10 things. The max steps here is 10. This is very crude, by the way, and not very clean, but it's a way to kind of get that question out. So let's just data table that quickly off of this cell, and there we go. So that should be all of our answers there. And yeah, that's a very crude way, but like I said, you could do this in many ways. It's never really clean. I think bounding the map where you actually glide along the walls is easier here. For me, in real situations where you do have kind of a complicated arrow map, I tend to just spill out this kind of model all the time. So I'll go, where did we start? What was the arrow and the multiple? Kind of where did we move? Where did we end up? And just repeat down like that until we get to a final cell. With a full model like this as well, in a data table approach, you can also quite easily spill what's in the cells. So I could say indirect of map and that, and we've shown this in another video before, so that will show us what's in the cells. So we can see on this route kind of we collected 1 crown. What about the second route? We were just stuck at the boat. Third route, we got a coin, and so on and so on. Here we actually got a few treasures. So that is most of what you need to know about arrows. I guess the key takeaways are to just always try and make this table or have it in your back pocket just ready. This stuff where we start stopping, gliding and bouncing off walls of a map normally comes in the later questions. And don't worry if this hasn't fully sunk in yet, it takes some time, and the next video will actually be some example solves of map questions, so we'll go through this type of stuff again in a bit more detail. So hopefully I'll see you for that one, and then the next chapter is going to be all about programming. It's probably going to be the chapter that's a little bit more advanced, but I'm looking forward to it, so hopefully I'll see you then.